when is the last time you relaxed and you did nothing? And I don't mean when is the last time you hung out with your friends, wound down and relaxed with them. I don't mean when is the last time you sat on your couch and watched Netflix. I don't even mean when is the last time you went on a walk in nature and relaxed. I mean, when is the last time you sat still and did absolutely nothing? And what I learned is that doing nothing is a fear. We grew up being told that you always have to be doing something, always be productive, always have to be moving forward, and you always have to like be pushing ahead and moving forward. And what I realized is that we a lot of times are driven out of this influence from how we grew up. A lot of times we are driven out of the fear of doing nothing, and doing nothing is a fear of ours. Because what would happen if you did nothing? You're scared that you might not accomplish your goals. You're scared that you might waste time. You're scared that it's not productive. And when you're not productive, you feel guilty. And it's all these feelings that are driving us to do the things that we do to avoid the feeling of doing nothing. But what if we got more comfortable with doing nothing? What if we started to realize these fears and impulses as what they are? Fears and impulses. What I think is that these things that drive us, like the fear of always be doing something, the fear of not sitting still, the fear of being productive, of not being productive. What I think is that these have been they've been instilled in us since we were young. They were instilled in us by our parents who never stopped to do nothing. They were instilled in us by our bosses at work who were taught to never stop and do nothing. And it's like we're running on this program of never stopping, never stopping, never stopping. For what? Why are you not stopping? Where is this program leading you to of never stopping? It's really what it is. You're being driven by this program. Oh, I can't stop. I can't stop. Otherwise what? What's actually going to happen if you stop for a second? You might realize that it's a fear. You've been driven by fear this whole time. And, some of you may have experienced this if you have meditated before and you've had periods where you've stopped and relaxed and done nothing. But for those of you who are scared to stop and do nothing, then I'm talking to you. What you'll realize is that when you do have those periods where you sit still and do absolutely nothing, you'll realize that you're going to feel very anxious and you're going to have a lot of tension and you're going to want to get up, you're going to want to be doing something because there's always this otherwise. If I don't move or if I don't work towards my goals, then otherwise, it's always this fear. So yeah, I just wanted to make that clear, is that a lot of times we're being driven by fear. And that's what I realized. And it was sort of like a period of enlightenment when I finally stopped and sat still. And I realized that, these things that have been telling me to move, and never stop, these are just impulses. I don't have to listen to them. I'm not the impulses. This impulse to go and check your phone, this impulse to go and click on another tab, this impulse to go to the grocery store and get a sandwich. It's all these micro impulses that we have, and we feel like we have to listen to them. And most likely, if you have never stopped for a moment and became aware of these impulses, most likely you are just following your impulses every single day. You're following your impulse to pick up your phone and pull it out. You're following your impulse to click on that tab. You're following your impulse to go and eat the sandwich without ever any layer of questioning, without any layer of asking, do I even actually need to do this thing? Like, check my phone? Is it really that important? Or am I just being driven by this impulse? And so this is productive. Sitting still and doing nothing is productive because what happens is you gain awareness, and with awareness saves you time, saves you a lot of time. And also with awareness comes deep questioning, and also with this comes more confidence with being still and relaxing. There's a lot of benefits of sitting still and doing nothing and relaxing. It's this realization that you are not these impulses, these things that are telling you to do stuff like, oh, you got to go to the store and go get that sandwich because you're hungry. That's not you. That's just one of your impulses. By you sitting still and doing nothing, you realize that, oh, there actually is a separation. All of these like thoughts and fears and whatever is actually not me. These are just like stories and like whatever of stories that come from influences from how we grew up and everything. But I know it might sound conspiracy theory, or like it might sound like, I guess maybe even spiritual what I'm saying, but like even just in a sense of productivity, it does help you by sitting still and doing nothing, because you can actually save time. Because once you become aware of these impulses and you become aware of these thoughts that are driving you and become aware of these fears that are driving you, you may have realized that this fear was driving you to not stop, and this fear was driving you to this path that you don't even want to go to. This fear was driving you to make a bunch of money in this area. Maybe you were afraid of being broke, or you were afraid of like not making a bunch of money, and so you were being led by this fear, and so you were going on this path to avoid that fear, and so you were wasting a bunch of time doing that, maybe even months. The thing is, once you sit still and realize that you are being driven by fear, you can save yourself months of time. That's productivity at its finest. So how can you actually sit still and do nothing? Well, it's harder than you think, because for those of you who have never done this, who have never sat still and just like did nothing, then it's going to be tough. So the way you can actually do this is start by meditating. And I would suggest 5 to 10 minutes to start off. So start doing this consistently. It's going to be like you're training a muscle. It's a skill that you have to learn. The skill to sit still and do nothing is a skill in itself, and it's a very challenging skill. So the way I meditate is I sit still in a chair, and I keep my back straight, and all I'm doing is just focusing on an anchor point, whether that's my body or like a certain part on my face, or like it's an anchor point. People will tell you to focus on your breath, because it's like where your breath comes in your nose and where your breath comes out of your nose. It's this connection to that anchor point. And the goal is to like keep that connection to that anchor point the whole time throughout your meditation session. And what you'll realize is that like impulses will start to come up and thoughts will start to come up. Thoughts like, oh, I probably shouldn't be sitting still right now because I got to be doing this. Or I probably should go check my phone right now because Bob texted me and I have to get back to Bob today. And you'll realize them as what they are. You'll realize them as impulses and thoughts that are trying to pull you away, but you just realize them as what they are, and you regain that connection to your breath. So that's how, through this skill of sitting still and just being, that's how you start to become aware of these impulses and these thoughts and these stories, because you're realizing them for what they are. Just stories, just thoughts, just impulses. And that is how, when you actually go back into your like work, when you go back into your life, that is how you'll start to become aware of like these impulses when they show up in your daily life. Like, for example, today I was working on my computer and I was writing this script, and I had the impulse to go check my subscriber count and check my notifications. And I realized that that's just an impulse. I don't have to listen to that. But if I didn't meditate and I didn't have periods where I sat still, then I may not have even noticed that impulse. I probably would have just done it without even like having that layer, if that makes sense. So this is how it can be productive to make this a habit to sit still and relax and do nothing, because you'll save time by eliminating distractions and you'll generally be less distracted. So that's the main benefit. And have more times where you disconnect from everything. Have more times where you go on walks without technology, without listening to anything, without having your phone, without doing anything. Just be more in the present moment. And then you'll be like, stuff like this will get rid of anxiety and depression. And because like once you're just like disconnected from everything, you're not really getting all these like negative influences from technology, and you just have a chance to be away from everything, which is good. That's productive. And then lastly, just relax more. Be more intentional, but like with what you're doing. Don't just do stuff just because your mind says so. Oh, I got to do this because I feel I'm afraid that this won't happen, or I'm afraid that I won't be productive if I don't do this. Just be more intentional with what you do. If you have to relax, then relax. That's okay. Relaxation is productive because you'll become more intentional with what you do. So overall, you'll find that you'll be more confident and you'll become more aware of your thoughts. And with this will save you time, and it will give you this extra layer of questioning, and it will allow you to not always just follow your impulses every single time they show up. And overall, it will make you more productive, and it will make you more confident too, and more intentional with what you're doing. So hopefully this helps and you got some value out of it. I did just start a new free school community, and it's a place where I help young ambitious men start to increase their productivity and save them some time, and actually help them get some of their time back during the week. So if you're interested, you can check out the link in the description, and I hope to see you in there. Thanks for watching.